Hi, hello everyone, welcome. In this video, I'm going to share with you how you can start working on Python using Python environment. So if you haven't installed Python before, you need to go to Anaconda as one of the website, which is a tool that you can use to install Python along the way with Anaconda environment. So navigate to anaconda.com, then go to the products and check individual edition. Okay, so now all you need to do is go to Anaconda individual edition, small window, and click download. Or you may scroll down, and if you like to choose a specific version, if your PC is 32-bit or 46-bit here, so you can choose. Now the current version of Python is 3.9. If you are working on Mac OS, then also here is the versions, or Linux as well. Okay, after you finish installing Anaconda, you should have Anaconda Navigator among the list of programs in your Windows. So open Anaconda Navigator, and then you see on the left-hand side, we have different sections. We have home, environments, learning, and community. So in home, you can see the bunch of applications that you may have or that is required to install in case you are interested to utilize them. So for example, here on my machine, I already have a JupyterLab, right, and JupyterNotebook, Spider, Visual Studio Code. However, if you need to use PyCharm Professional, then you need to install it in order to use it. Another matter, here you can notice this application. Now I'm utilizing the environment, which is the base. So you may have several environments prepared on your machine. I'm not going to cover this at this time, but just to keep an eye on it in case sometimes if there are some packages that you can't find when you run Python, so you need to double check that you are using the appropriate environment. So for now, just keep it on the default one, which is the base environment. Okay, now to launch JupyterLab, then just you go to JupyterLab and click on launch. So once JupyterLab is launched, you will see that it has opened a browser for you, and it has been navigated to localhost and then some port number. Okay, now in this way, if you launch JupyterLab in this way, so simply JupyterLab, as the case here, has used the the main driver as the starting point or the launching point. So here I can navigate to all the folders on my PC. Or there's another way, if you don't like to go through jumping or navigating to too many folders, you may then just request from JupyterLab using the command prompt to just immediately or start the starting point would be that particular folder. However, okay, so this is just to keep it as a note. You can do that, or you can do this one. Just simply you go to the Anaconda Navigator and just launch JupyterLab. Now inside JupyterLab, you will notice that here, if you just here, we have, this is the folder section, right, where you can see all the root or the folders that you are currently at, right? So now I am on this root, and then you can navigate through your folders. And then you may have some of these and you may not, so that's fine, depends on the add-ons that you have on your machine. But you're supposed to have this running terminals and kernels, that if you have opened any Jupyter Notebook, then one kernel, all right, should be open or terminal. So in this case, you can also manage them and check what kernels are open and what terminals as well. You may shut them down if you like, or you can choose specific one to shut it down. Right here also, you can have the extensions and etc. So now this is the launcher tab where you may be interested most of the time. So if you need to create Jupyter Notebook, so here you have the section to create a Jupyter Notebook, but you may notice, and you may not have the same as you see here on my PC, you have several versions of environments. So here I have the base, and I have also different types of Python, right? And installed depends on the environment that I'm using, but simply just you can choose Python and then for the base. Now, once you click on this one, you see that one Jupyter Notebook has been launched, and now I'm using this environment. Okay, at any time, you may change the environment if you like by clicking on the top right hand side here, and then choose what type of kernel or environment you like to use. So I'll keep everything as it is, since this is what the environment I intend to work on. And then here you are inside Jupyter Notebook. Right now, if you go here, you may find that there's one Jupyter Notebook has been just created a second ago, and simply this is the one. Now, the main instructions that you may need to know, that if you like to change, this is now the default name for this Jupyter Notebook is untitled.ipynb. So if you want to change the file name, just right click and then choose rename notebook. And then you can give, let's say, a proper name, like maybe tutorial one if you are working in tutorial session. And then here you have tutorial one. Now there are a few things that you need to know. So here, this circle, now you see this is a code cell. So simply here you can come and write your Python code. So for example, if I like to print out the famous statement, hello world, so just you can use print statement and then pass the string, hello world. Now, my statement is ready. If I want to execute this line of code, there are several ways. You may click on this icon, which says run the selected cells and advance. Advance means that go to the next cell if available. If it's not available, it's going to create a new one. As an alternative, you can use the keyboard shortcut and click on Shift plus Enter. Again, you press and hold Shift and then press Enter. You will see at this time the Python statement has been executed, and then the cell has got a number. Simply this indicates when, or at least the sequence of statements, I mean the exact sequence when this line code was executed in terms of the order. So simply in this notebook, since I launched it, this was the first statement I executed here. Right, so now here I have the next cell is ready to write Python code. Or if you like to do some changes here, then also you can refer back. Let's say I need to add another printing statement. So just you can go here and write print. This is second line. And then again, you may press on the icon or just simply Shift plus Enter. Okay. Now, same process, you can keep repeating this. So you can come here and write print third line, for example. And then Shift plus Enter. You will move to, or you will execute the line of code and advance or move on to the next cell. Another way, you can also press Ctrl and Enter. The difference between Ctrl and Enter and Shift and Enter is only in the advance statement, an advance part. So simply if you use Ctrl plus Enter, simply you are going to execute only the current cell and just stay there, right? So you see the cursor won't advance to the next cell code. Okay, another matter that is interesting or important to know, that you have different types of cell. So if you notice here, we have a combo box or a list box. You see that the current selection for this cell type is code. If you are interested to change, you will see that you have other types like Markdown and Raw. So simply most of the time, you might either work on code or Markdown. Okay, so simply we already know what code is, right? It's a place where simply you write your code. Now, if you want to work on Markdown, then simply is you will see that first it won't get this indicator here as the other code cells have had, right? And in addition here, the cell has turned to markdown simply here, just you can't write any comments you like, right? It's like just like adding comments. Like for example, this tutorial is meant to teach you blah, blah, blah. Or maybe you need to keep some important comment in here, or even actually this markdown, our Jupyter Notebook has a lot of support for those markdowns. So for example, if you like to add header 1 and header 2, like the way where you format your document file in Windows Word, right? Microsoft Word. So you can have header 1, header 2, right? And etc. So simply you can do this here as well. In order to do so, you can use the sharp or hash and then space, then let's say this is header 1. And then if I need second header, then I can use header 2. Right, so now once you click Shift and Enter, you will see that how changes has taken an effect. Right, so this is header 1 and header 2 and etc. Now there's another button here. If you want to execute the whole notebook, I don't need to go cell by cell. Let's say I have a lot of code already written here and just I'm interested to have it all executed at one time. So there are two ways. Either you can go to this icon, but actually this will restart the kernel, then rerun the whole notebook. Right? But you may use this way. Or another way, you can just simply do the following. So first, let's say I'm at any cell, it doesn't matter. And then just you press escape button, then Control A, select all, then Shift and Enter. You see how the sequence has been advanced, right, or changed, because I have re-executed the whole notebook again. So let me show you again. Keep an eye on the numbers here. Okay, so again, escape, Control A, then Control plus Enter. Okay, so I have that now. It's clear what's going on. Now, in case if you have any error, let's say you have syntax error, you didn't write, let's say just I wrote hello and then I forgot to put double quotation, right? The close double quotation or the quote, then just I press Control and Enter. You will see I got here syntax error, end of line while scanning string literal, right? So actually there's a mistake here. Simply I have to add another quote. And here we go. Okay, if you want to add any line, let's say I'm interested to add another code, line of code here, another cell in particular, right? So I can go to this button and then it says insert a cell below. So now I have another cell here. Probably I need to execute some code before going to the statement, so I can follow this. If I need to add several cells, you repeat the same way. Just you keep clicking on the plus button. Now, if you are interested, let's say you need to save. Notice here, there's a bold, right? A bold circle. This is just to indicate that this notebook hasn't been saved. So if you click Control and S, and now it says saving completed, right? And that bold shape, the bold circle has gone. If for some reason, and here another matter is good to keep an eye on, sometimes the line of code or what you've written might take long time. So if you want to know if the kernel is still busy executing your code, so you can check this part here. If it also has some bold circle, right? This is filled up shaped, right? Then that means it's busy. So notice when I click on Control and Enter here, I hope that we can catch it. I think just it's blinked too fast, right? I'm not sure if you were able to notice that, right? But absolutely you can notice that. Let's say if I use a loop, if I write a long loop, then you will get it here. So for example, if I use for loop I in range, let's take 1000, and then just here pass. I don't want to execute anything. Actually, also it was too fast. We barely able to notice anything. I think I need to write something here, but let's just say I need to have a string. Okay, I think now it was more noticeable how it's taking longer time. So this is important. At least you know that the kernel is busy or not. Or another way, you can check the cell here. So once you have asterisk, that means this is the current cell that is being executed, and it hasn't been finished yet. But sometimes if your notebook is so long, you don't need to scroll up and down looking or tracing which cell is being executed or not, or even just to know whether the notebook the kernel is busy or not. Just simply you can check this part here. Now, for some reason, if you notice that your code is taking longer than expected, and like the Python is hanged, right, is not working, not responding, so another way you can press this anytime, restart the kernel. Okay, so if your application is not responding and you notice the kernel is busy for some reason, maybe unintentional code, maybe you wrote something wrong, or maybe something technical issue has happened, right? And then anyway, you can press on restart the kernel. Also, you can cut the cell, you can copy, paste. The rest should be, you are familiar with, but these are the important ones. Now, also another way, if you want to interrupt the kernel without restarting it, then also you can press the stop button or the interrupt the kernel button. Okay, another matter, if at any time you like to go to the launcher tab, then you can go to File and then click on New Launcher, right? And then you will see again, this is again here. Now you may also interested, let's say, to open a console application or console tab, right? Just you can press on that here, and then also you can write, actually this is just running or calling IPython, the interactive Python version. And then here you can write the same thing. Let's say print hello world. This might be useful sometimes if you just want to do some checks, right? You're not sure what the output of this line would be, or maybe you need to get some help fast. So you may navigate and open the console tab, and then you do these things. Now, in order to push the code to get executed, you can press Shift plus Enter. Okay, so let's say again, if you just press Enter, you see that this box will expand to allow you, to enable you to write more Python code in here. But once you need to push this out to get executed, then you can press Shift plus Enter. Okay. Now, also this might be useful. You can run it inside console or even tutorial, the notebook. Let's say you're not sure how to use the function print. Then there is a function called help, which would help you to check how to use print function, for example, or any other function. So for example, this says for print help on built-in function print. Now print, this is how it works. This is the general syntax or the signature. And then here you get some explanation what this function is all about, and even some explanation about these arguments. And same thing you can do here, help, then print. And now another way, if you like to open JupyterLab straight away without going to Anaconda Navigator, then just you can launch Windows prompt, right? You can open the command shell or PowerShell or even Windows shell or terminal, and then just call JupyterLab and then specify the path, let's say where your JupyterNotebook's files are located, and then JupyterLab will issue or will start working the service and immediately open a browser and navigate straight away to this location. So you may use this way. This is a second method of working on JupyterLab. Or, as I said, you can use at any time Anaconda Navigator. So it's up to you. Use the one that you feel it's most convenient to you. Either you can call JupyterLab command or just open Anaconda Navigator. Now, how to install packages, right? Let's say you need to use a package for your tutorial or for your work where you need to do or to have a specific package, right? So for example, you need to install NumPy package. So the way to do it is you can write inside the command prompt pip and then say install and then give the package name, right? So this is the way, pip install package name. So let's say pip install NumPy. It's already installed, but just I need to show you how it's working. So it says requirement already satisfied. So actually there's no need to install, right? Or if you like to go inside JupyterNotebook, you can do the same thing. Okay, so let's say that you are working here and you want to have NumPy installed, right? So you can also write, but here you cannot use Windows command straight away inside JupyterNotebook. So in order to tell Python that this is external command, so you can put exclamation mark and then followed by, again, you write pip install NumPy, right? Shift and enter. And now same thing. So requirement already satisfied. So I don't need it to install anything. So to import a package, let's say I want to use NumPy. So you use the command import NumPy like this, right? And then you can use NumPy with all the other functions available. So there's APS, absolute, add, and etc. Okay, so for example, I want to add 2 numbers. Then I call the function add. And then here we go. Now, if you want to use alias instead of calling NumPy each and every time, now this name is short. Actually, it's not a big deal, right? But sometimes if you have a long package name and you want to have an alias, then just you can write import NumPy as, and then give any proper name. Usually NumPy is given the alias name NP, right? So now once I give NP, then just you can go back here and write np.add and you get the same result. Okay, so this is how you call packages or how you import packages. Now, before you use the package, you have to import it. Now, you cannot just straight away go and call a package or a function inside the package without importing that particular package. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, if you want to know the environments that are available in your Conda, then you can go to the PowerShell and write conda info --env. Env stands for environments, and then hit enter. You will get the list of environments available. So on my machine, I have these environments. For some reason, I think there's one here, but sometimes Anaconda might not work very well with PowerShell. So if you want to avoid this, either you open the command prompt or you go to the version that is of PowerShell that comes along with Anaconda installation. Okay, so now if I open command prompt, then I try to execute the same code again, conda info --envs, then I will get the list of environments again. Now, if you want to activate a particular environment, the only thing that you need to do is write in conda activate, then choose or write the environment name. For example, py36 Python version 3.6, and then you will notice that you will get at each line there is this parentheses indicating the environment that now currently you are working on. And then if you need to change back to base, you have two ways. Either you can write conda activate base again, or you may also write conda deactivate. So deactivate, actually it will just go to the, I think, the previous environment that was earlier, right? So you can write again conda deactivate, and now we are just simply without any conda, but we still using the environment. The current environment is still base. Okay, so if we try again, activate, for example, Python 36 and execute conda info env, then you will see that the asterisk here pointing to the current activated environment.